Making mistakes in Korean is just a part of the learning process, really. And while you're learning Korean, you're going to be hopefully exposing yourself to movies and Korean drama and K-pop and everything. But not all of that might be good for you to use. So I'm going to highlight a few things that you might be using that you've probably seen used already that is actually rude and that you should avoid, or at least know how to use it better. And the first one I wanted to talk about is using 당신 or using 너 to mean you. Now, 당신 is used, so you probably have heard it before in a Korean drama, but it actually is only used these days between married couples, older married couples, to mean like darling, you know, it's kind of a fond way to refer to you in that sort of relationship, but it's not used to strangers. In fact, the only other case that you'll see this is when the audience is completely unknown and there's no way to know who you're talking with, which is why this will often appear in advertisements. So you might see an advertisement written on the subway that has 당신 to refer to you. However, this is never what you would want to use to another person to say you, because it sounds very rude. It sounds like I don't know you and I don't even care to know you. So don't use this one. 너 is a bit different. 너 is used all the time in regular Korean between really close friends who are also the same age, or the person using it is using it to someone who they're close with who's younger than them. So if you have a friend that's the exact same age as you, by that I mean Korean age, then you can use it with them. Or if they're a few years younger than you, feel free to use it. But still, know that this word has kind of a rude connotation to it. So you don't just want to throw it out to all of your friends. It's kind of like you're talking down to them a bit. So it's a casual, slangy way to say you, but it's not a polite or friendly way to say you. And I made a video actually of other ways that you can say you, which I'll link in the description. So check that out and use one of those instead. Oh, and the same thing applies to using 그 and 그녀. 그 and 그녀 often appear in books as translations for he and she, but that's the only time that they are used. They're only used in linguistics books as literal translations for the English words he and she. In Korean, however, these words are not used, and really not used, not in spoken Korean or regular written Korean, so I would recommend completely deleting them from your vocabulary. The next one that I wanted to talk about is saying let's. Don't use this 자 ending, for example, 하자 or 가자 or something like that. Now, this is used as well. You can use this with your close friends who are, again, the same age as you or younger. But you cannot just use this to other acquaintances or even friends who are older than you, because it will sound slangy and impolite. The same goes for this form. Actually, this form's even worse. You might have seen 갑시다 or something like that listed as a polite way of saying let's go, or 합시다, let's do it. And you probably have heard this used in dramas before. This means let's when you are 100% talking down to someone. Now, that doesn't mean you can use it in your friendships even. It is not used between friends except jokingly. This would be like what a company's boss would say to his subordinates. Avoid this form completely. Instead, if you want to make a suggestion to a friend or an acquaintance, just use the regular 요 form. So you can say 같이 해요 or 같이 가요, something like that. This will often be used together with 같이, which just means together. So you can literally say go together, 같이 가요, as a way to suggest let's go. Or 같이 해요, let's do it. 같이 먹어요, let's eat together. And this will be a fairly polite way for acquaintances. Or if you want an even safer way to say let's do something, just use the 가 form. So this video is not going to be teaching these forms in detail. You can learn about those in my other videos. But this would be something like saying 갈까 or 할까, 밥 먹을까, 밥 먹으러 갈까. How about, shall we go eat together? Shall we do it? Shall we go? This is actually not a let's form at all, but this is used in the way that you would say let's to someone who you want to be a little more polite to. Now, this isn't a video just about how to say let's. There are actually a few other ways you can say it and styles. Maybe I can do a video about that later. But you can also do something like honorifics. So instead of saying 가요, if you want to be really polite, you can say 가시죠. And this is more of a command that's honorific and polite sounding. So you're saying, you go? How about you go? Kind of like that. So that's another polite option that you have. The next one I wanted to talk about is saying don't. And don't. I mean, in English, you can say don't to pretty much about anyone if you really don't want them to do something. But in Korean, saying don't at all, using, 하지 마요, 하지 마, 하지 마세요, even this polite one, is rather impolite. So instead of saying don't do something, it's better to simply suggest an alternative or tell them it's not good if they do something. With your friends, of course, your close friends, you can say, 뭐 하지 마요, 하지 마. So if you wanted to say don't do something and you wanted to be more polite, I would recommend using this kind of form. So something, something, 면. If you do an action verb literally, 안 되다, literally, it will not be acceptable. So something like 하면 안 돼요, you shouldn't do it, would sound more polite than just saying 하지 마요. So let me give you a sentence example. So instead of telling someone 그러지 마세요, like don't do that, you can instead just say 그러시면 안 돼요. So literally, it is not acceptable if you do that. And this is a more polite way of saying don't do something. So I recommend a form like this. The next way that you might be sounding rude is giving commands using the 요 form. So if you're telling someone to do something simply with the 요 form, and it's not a suggestion, you're not saying like 같이 가요, let's go together, but you're just saying 해요, 가요, 먹어요, eat it, go, do it. Those kinds of commands using the 요 form are also quite rude sounding. So let me give you an example. 먹어요 literally means, I eat or you eat, but it can also be used just as a command. 먹어요, eat, try some, 먹어봐요, try it. This would be rude if you were to say to anyone that you're not close with, even though it has the 요 at the end. Instead, if you're ever going to give someone a command that you want them to do something, always use honorifics. So instead of saying 먹어요, use the honorific form, which is actually 들다, and that becomes 드세요. So if you want someone else to try something, you want your boss to try some food you brought, you say 드세요, like that. Now this one might seem a bit obvious, but if you're yelling out 야 to anyone, it's going to sound rude, with only exception of your closest friend. So yeah, don't just call out to your regular acquaintances with 야. It doesn't mean hello, it's more like hey, like that. Next one. When you are meeting someone for the first time, regardless of their age, well, unless they're like a little baby or something, a little kid, you need to be polite to them because you're not close with them yet. You're not their friend yet, even if they're slightly younger than you. So you should never say 반가워 when meeting someone for the first time. You could say 반가워요, but this is still quite casual. So maybe if you're in a university and or high school and you're meeting another person, you can say 반가워요. If you want to be polite, and I recommend this, just using 만나서 반갑습니다 or 반갑습니다. So this is more formal when you meet someone. So say you're getting introduced to someone at work, 반갑습니다, 반갑습니다, like that. But again, don't just use 반가워, it will seem rude. Now, before we finish though, I do want to say don't worry too much about making these mistakes. Koreans understand that you're learning Korean, and as a beginner, you get a pass. So what other mistakes have you made learning Korean? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.